Hello, everybody. My name is Omar Kashed, and I'm from the Carroll Stream Public Library. I'm an adult services librarian here, and I wanted to welcome you today to this presentation from Giving DuPage on volunteerism in the community. Volunteerism is certainly very important. I don't need to tell you that, but the reason why I wanted to have Shefali come out here today is because whether you're in the job, whether you're looking for work and you're trying to find avoid gaps in your resume, or if you're just interested in volunteerism in general as a way to give back to the community, I feel that Giving DuPage is a tremendous resource to help you find opportunities and learn more about volunteerism. So with that, I'm going to send things over now to Shefali Trivedi, who will now present on Giving DuPage.
Hi, everyone. I want to thank the Carroll Stream Library for allowing us to share a few resources and to share a little bit more about what Giving DuPage is and what we do. We serve the public as the DuPage County Volunteer Center. We basically want to connect volunteers to local volunteer opportunities, and we have a great resource, an online website that allows you to do that. Before we get into showing you the website, which we want to spend the bulk of our time on, I do want to share just a couple of pieces of information on the importance of volunteering, what are the benefits of volunteering, what is the need for volunteers in Illinois, but locally in DuPage County, and really, what's the latest and the greatest when it comes to volunteerism. The biggest thing is, as you can imagine, volunteering has been sort of a staple of American life for as long as we can all remember. The newest sort of things that are happening around volunteering is really the data that's around volunteering. So you'll see today I'm going to spend some time talking about some of the newest data points. There's some real studies that have happened around volunteerism, which is new and has not occurred even as recent as 10 years ago or 15 years ago. A lot of this data is new and has happened just in the last 5 to 10 to 15 years. And then we'll kind of, again, quantify the need for volunteers locally in DuPage and then show you how you can connect to volunteering in DuPage County. We'll just start with sort of the basic question of why should someone volunteer? What's the benefits of volunteering? There's a lot of connection around healthy habits, the wellness around volunteerism, right? It's a healthy habit, especially during a crisis. It's a way to build resilience and connection to the community. It creates confidence when you volunteer and helps you build your own self-esteem. It's very empowering to be connected to your community and volunteer and be a part of the solution. There's a sense of great local pride that can happen. And also, there are a lot of health benefits. It keeps you active and engaged. It helps you counteract social anxiety or stress or anger. There's a lot of data now around how volunteering can be a treatment for isolation, and also, a prescription and treatment for depression and suicide issues. So there's a lot of data, actual data points around it. I'll just share this one really quickly. It's just all of these sort of data points on this slide talks about a big healthcare group, United Healthcare, that did a study about how volunteering impacts your health. And obviously there's strong data, almost 95, 96% talked about how volunteering improves your overall mood. It enriches your life with a sense of purpose. Nearly 80% of people, that's 8 out of 10 people, said that volunteering can help lower stress levels. And nearly the same amount, 76%, said that volunteering actually makes them feel healthier. Especially now when it comes to this sort of place that we're in, where we're sort of virtual, remote, less interaction with people, volunteering can still give you all of those sort of health benefits. And then a big placement search firm called Robert Half did a study, and they said 6 out of 10 of their US workers say that taking part in volunteering and philanthropy outside of work actually makes them more effective on the job. So there's this correlation that happened between volunteering outside of work and volunteering and how that impacts your work performance, which again, that's brand new data, didn't have that before. Very exciting stuff. There's also a very big study, national study that was done around seniors and volunteering in the Senior Corps program. They studied lots and lots of seniors over the course of 2 years, and they basically did a baseline of where that senior was in terms of how they were feeling with health and isolation and symptoms of depression, and where they felt 2 years afterwards. And so 84% after 2 years talked about having reported improved or stable health. 78% talked about instead of 5 or more symptoms of depression In the beginning, they had significantly less, 78% had significantly less after 2 years. And then 88%, almost 9 out of 10 seniors talked about how they had a decrease in isolation or a lack of companionship feelings after 2 years. That's huge in the senior population. And so that is, again, brand new data just out within the last 5 years. Also compelling is the connection between career and volunteering. So for younger people, volunteering is great for your college prep, great for college applications, adding experience to the resume, learning skills that are valuable in the workplace, finding a passion and possible future career possibilities, and of course, connecting us to community. LinkedIn actually did some data around volunteerism. They actually surveyed hiring managers, and 41% of LinkedIn hiring managers considered volunteer work as equally valuable as paid work experience. That's pretty remarkable that they viewed volunteer experience and work experience on the same footing. That's 4 out of 10 hiring managers. And then 20% of hiring managers said that they hired a candidate because of their volunteer experience. So often, I think people don't put their volunteer experience on their resume, and you ought to. So that's the first thing. If you don't add your volunteer history and your volunteer experience on your resume, you should definitely do so. But know that if you do so, that actually might give you the advantage between you and another candidate in the eyes of the hiring manager. So again, brand new data, only probably less than a decade old, and that's kind of relevant information right now. There's also a really strong connection between volunteering. There's more and more data. This is still the newest area of data, but volunteering and emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is sort of a new area of life that we are all looking at when it comes to just the skills that you need to be effective in the workplace. But emotional intelligence also helps you in life. And there's some studies, early conversations around showing how volunteering can actually increase or strengthen your emotional intelligence skills. And those emotional intelligence skills are comprised of like your social skills, your self-awareness, your self-regulation, your ability to have some empathy, and your ability for your motivation, how you motivate yourself. And so there's this connection that's happening between emotional intelligence and volunteering. And I think it's really important to also know that nonprofit organizations are looking for you. You have your own gifts and talents and experiences that would lead you to be an excellent volunteer for a nonprofit organization. So we really want to emphasize that nonprofit organizations are seeking volunteers. They're looking for people to help them do their mission, whatever their mission is or their purpose is as a nonprofit. And so really the biggest reasons I'm volunteering are really more about that personal, internal benefit, right? That it feels really good to do some good. You have a sense of purpose when you volunteer. And the very simple reason on why volunteer is because you can, right? All of us have the ability to serve our communities and serve in our house of worship or serve at our local city or municipality or our local library. We all have ways that we can give back and get some meaning and purpose, and volunteering is one of those very powerful ways. And lastly, there's a big connection between giving back and gratitude. In recent years, there's been studies that show there's a deep neural connection between gratitude and giving. So grateful people tend to give more. They tend to give on average 20% more time and money. So they share a connection or pathway in the brain, a neural pathway in the brain. And so when we're grateful, our brains become more charitable, which is, again, very exciting and interesting to think of volunteerism in that way. And then this is just recapping all the benefits of volunteering. You can make great friends and connect with people. You learn about great causes in your community and the amazing work that's being done by local nonprofit organizations. You realize that you're a part of something much bigger than yourself. You can create a positive, healthy habit for your personal life and your emotional health. You gain a sense of pride and belonging in our DuPage community. Very important to build empathy and strengthen emotional intelligence. and you're sharing your gifts, your talents, your experiences and skills for a special cause. And it connects you to a feeling of gratitude. So these are all the positive reasons and benefits for volunteering. I'd like to talk a little bit now about the need for volunteerism. You may not know, in the countries, this is volunteerism in the US, and this is the source data. Now this data is probably a couple of years old because they only update this study every 4 or 5 years. But 62 million people volunteered, and that they volunteered 7.8 billion hours of time. That's pretty remarkable. If you kind of drill down in the state of Illinois, you can see that 28% of Illinoisans volunteer today. We're talking about 26 hours per resident in a year, 2.8 million Illinois volunteers, that they donated over 206 million hours of time. If you translated that to a workforce, we are talking about $5.8 billion in service. That's pretty remarkable too. These are some of the outcomes that have happened just around since the pandemic in March that the state has tracked. The generous donations of PPE, the masks that have been distributed and donated, how many people have signed up to volunteer, over 20,000 since the pandemic began, and that they've donated over 93,000 hours of service, and they've served or helped over 2 million people. Pretty remarkable data. In DuPage County, so again, I'm going to drill down even further to our neck of the woods. In DuPage County, we did a study, Giving DuPage as the volunteer center, back in 2016, where we collected data from the nonprofit partners that we support through volunteers, mobilizing volunteers. Just as a side note or a backdrop, Giving DuPage has 3,500 nonprofit plus, or 3,500 plus nonprofit organizations serving in DuPage County, 3,500 plus. And in DuPage, we at that time had sent our survey to just the 350 nonprofit partners that we partner with. So keep in mind, we're not partnering with all 3,000 plus, we're only partnering with like 300 of them that we know about and that know about us. And then 108 of those organizations reported back on the data. We asked 2 questions of these organizations. 1, how many volunteers did you use to execute your mission, to do your mission? And 2, how many hours did those volunteers give? There were over 70,000 volunteers, or almost 70,000 volunteers who donated their time for just 108 organizations who responded to our survey. This is just in DuPage County. So in the course of 1 year, 69,405 volunteers donated time to 108 organizations in DuPage County. And they donated over 1.5 million hours of service. And if we were, so again, 108 organizations reported back, 69,000 volunteers donated time, and they gave 1.5 million hours of service. That translates to a dollar value, if you look at the value of their service, to over $38 million. The biggest reason that people don't volunteer is, hey, I didn't know you needed volunteers, right? So a lot of organizations or a lot of people just don't know how desperately volunteers are needed. But as our data just showed, volunteers are so needed, very critical for the work of nonprofit organizations in DuPage County. So really, you know, we're here to kind of clear that up. There's a great need for volunteers in DuPage County. The second reason that people don't volunteer is they say, hey, I want to give back, but I don't know how to get started or where to look. Because one person like you might be very interested in helping pet causes, and then your neighbor really is passionate about helping veterans, and your other neighbor or your friend at work is really passionate about helping organizations who serve seniors. So every single person has a different interest, and so it's hard to search in those areas when you are trying to volunteer. How do you get connected in DuPage County to volunteerism? So I want to go ahead and show that website that we have. I'm going to go ahead and show you our main website. I want to make sure, Omar, will you just sort of chime in and make sure you can see, tell me if you can see the main page now I'm showing?
Yep, I can see the Giving DuPage website.
Great, awesome, thank you. So this is how you can find and get connected to volunteering in DuPage County. So our main website is givingdupage.org. If you go to givingdupage.org, on the home page, you can see how can you help during this time. This URL, givingdupage.org/volunteer, right here, givingdupage.org/volunteer is the website to bookmark. When you go ahead and click on that, by the way, also, if you were at the main website, on the upper right side of every page, you can see there's this icon that says Volunteer Search Portal. That will also take you to our Volunteer Portal website. So both this button, this icon button, as well as this URL, givingdupage.org/volunteer, will take you to the Giving DuPage website. Now I'll show you this is the volunteer website, the volunteer portal website. And again, I'm just making sure that you guys can see now, we're at the volunteer portal screen. But this screen shows you, we created a page immediately in March that kind of just highlighted some urgent volunteer needs. So you can see on the left-hand navigation, there's the dashboard, opportunities, events, organizations, urgent volunteer needs, nonprofit jobs, in-kind needs, a section for folks who are looking for court-mandated volunteer opportunities, and then also a way to get connected to community resources in general if you need help. And so I'll kind of walk us through all those navigations, but this first page is really just a quick page that we threw up of a couple of organizations who still need support and help, a couple of organizations who are looking for in-kind donation opportunities, who are serving folks who are homeless or provide housing, temporary housing to people, and then also some remote volunteer opportunities. I'll go into more remote and virtual volunteer opportunities because we are going to be shifting this volunteer portal site to be more actively showing virtual volunteering rather than in-person volunteering during the pandemic. But I wanted to just make sure that you knew about this page and you can look at those opportunities a little bit later. The main section for volunteer opportunities are on the Opportunities tab at the website, at the portal. So this particular section, Opportunities, has all the volunteer needs listed as well as events. The biggest thing I want to show you here is how to connect to virtual volunteering and how to search and filter in different ways. So first thing here, you can see search by in the upper right side. You can see sort by and you can see filter by. And then you can also keep this as a grid view or a list view. So if you change it to list view, you can see the volunteer needs show up more as a list. If you keep it as a grid view, I don't know what your preference is, but whichever one it is, you can check that way. So you could search on a keyword here. Let's say you want to search on food, and then you want to make sure you hit the search button. You will search on the keyword food, and every volunteer need associated with food will pop up. This is actually one of the searching on food will bring up a lot of food pantries, and many of the food pantries are still open right now, and they're allowing in-person volunteering. So those organizations really need you to support them and help them with volunteering. You can see Neighborhood Food Pantries is looking for a volunteer food recovery driver. You can see the Elmhurst Yorkfield Food Pantry is looking, same thing, food recovery, restocking volunteers, client service volunteers. A lot of that, same thing, People's Resource Center. Again, we are now seeing 3 or 4 different needs for food recovery drivers, right? People's Resource Center is a big food pantry serving Westmont and Wheaton. They need to transport food. So does Elmhurst Yorkfield Food Pantry, and so does Neighborhood Food Pantry. So, and then driver to bring donated food to even the Fish Food Pantry in Downers Grove. So Downers Grove Area Fish Food Pantry. You can see that there's just a lot of needs that are happening when it comes to food volunteering to help with hunger-related issues. So if that's a particular interest, you can search there. I'm going to go ahead and remove the filter or the search by word, and I'm going to show you other ways that you can search and filter by age. You can filter by organization. You can filter by available volunteer slots. You can filter by distance, which I think is very useful. So if you click distance, and I think the zip code in Carroll Stream is 6018888, I think, and you clicked within 5 miles of 60188, you would be able to see the different volunteer needs that are happening. For example, the Forest Preserve District of DuPage County is very interested in volunteering. Again, this is a safe, in-person volunteer opportunity that you can do and still do right now while the weather outdoors is still very, very good to go outside. Healthy thing to do, great family activity. So a great thing to do with the family if you want to volunteer. And then you can see all the other sort of things closer within 5 miles of Carroll Stream. There's a Hope on Call volunteer, so you can actually do this as a virtual volunteer opportunity as well. I'm going to cancel the distance filter by hitting the X, and I'm going to show you other things. So you can search by family friendly. You can search by initiative. You can search, and this is the most important part, the virtual opportunity. So go ahead and click that. And then you want to say that it is a virtual opportunity and hit search. Now, right now, there's only a handful of opportunities. Believe me, in the next several weeks, there will be more. We're going to actually move some of the volunteer opportunities that are virtual, that are in the main section of the website and the portal. They haven't been clicked. The nonprofits didn't click the virtual button because they didn't need to worry about that before March, and now they do. So we're going to actually manually move over and click over all these volunteer needs to become virtual all at once. And so this page will have more opportunities. I also want to show you, so for example, there's some special events volunteer, grant writer, elementary school volunteer. People are volunteering as a tutor virtually for certain organizations, which is really great. There's an organization looking for you to help take phone calls or take a vehicle donation, virtual Girl Scout opportunities, so scouting opportunities are virtual. But I also want to show you, if I uncheck that box for virtual and you do a filter by interest, you can see there's certain volunteer opportunities. So there's advocacy opportunities. Many of those will be virtual. I'm going to click on technology because I want to show you, so we're going to search on the interest of technology. You can see that pops up. A lot of these opportunities are virtual. Marketing help, managing the media. There's a lot of websites. If you're good at web editing or you have that as a particular skill, you can actually also still be an administrative volunteer for somebody's office virtually. There are social media volunteers that are wanted. You can be an online ambassador as well. If you're good at writing a story or a script, you can do that. You can be a part of the email campaign events volunteer, so you can help with email campaigns, also virtual. So there's a lot of different things like that that you can look at that will be moving into that area. You can help with accounting help or, you know, education, special events, workshops, lots of things. I think even online service hours, they're showing you here at earthpaint.org that they're also accepting online service hours. So different ways that you can get involved with that. What I'd like to do is actually click on, I'm just going to click on, let's say, grant writer as an opportunity. And the reason why I want to show you is I want to show you there's a couple of things. First, you can respond to the volunteer opportunity, and that's how you want to respond. You can respond in two ways. One is this way. If you hit respond, you'll actually be prompted to either sign up or create a login. And then when you respond, it'll send an automated message directly to the nonprofit organization. You could also share the opportunity. So you can see this sort of share opportunity. You can share it on social networks, which is a great way to tell people. And that's also just a great way to volunteer and give back, is sharing about volunteer needs. But the other way that you can connect to this volunteer opportunity is if you click on the organization's name, they're called earthpaint.org, and their logo, you'll be redirected to their actual profile page. And here you'll see they have a phone number and an email address that you can connect to volunteering. So I just wanted to share that with you so you can reach out to the organizations directly. And then if you want to search by organizations, so if you go on the left-hand side, You can search organizations. This is an A through Z listing of the organizations. Over almost 400 organizations use this website. 400 organizations serving DuPage County use this website. And you can actually filter by. So if you go on the filter by, again, you can see, you can filter by cause, you can filter by name, or again, distance from a zip code. So again, let's go ahead and do distance. We'll say 5 miles of 60188, and we'll search. And then you can see all the different organizations that are within 5 miles, everything from Animal Rescue Foundation to Bridge Communities. Hey, look, there's the Carroll Stream Public Library, CASA of DuPage County, and then you can click the next one and see other places like Clear Oaks Retirement Community or Donka, DuPage Animal Friends, DuPage Care Center. All of these are within 5 miles of 60188. And of course, if you wanted to filter by cause, there are different causes from crime and safety to environment to mental wellness to housing and health that you can choose from. I will take you next to the events section of the website. So again, I'm just moving down in this left navigation. We looked at opportunities, we looked at organizations. Here's some events. You can see there's a virtual fall festival. There's a way to participate in some webinars. There's a virtual gala for a nonprofit. There's a summer mobile food pantry. So there are ways to connect to virtual events with nonprofits here. And there's also jobs. So I'm going to click on that tab as well. Now I will tell you that we probably have to encourage the nonprofits to update this page because some of them still have their old jobs listed. But there are some positions in here that are paid and some that are not paid. So for example, this administrative assistant job is a paid position. The program manager job, the grants manager job, these are all paid positions. But there might be some, like this one, this BRYL YMCA, they have special events volunteer, that's going to be an unpaid opportunity. Perhaps this communications internship is paid or unpaid. If I click on it, I can read a little bit more and see more about what's involved. 12 hours per month, and you can read more, and then you can always respond here or contact the agency by clicking on the tab. This particular website, as I said, is used by almost 400 organizations. When we revamp the website, we should have a couple hundred opportunities for people to connect to giving back. Right now, there's almost 800 opportunities. The in-person opportunities and the virtual ones have to be really weeded out, and you will be able to connect to those here very soon. But I just wanted to show you how you can navigate in the website. You can also see their in-kind donation needs. So there are different things that people are looking for. You know, donate to the rescue projects or make home sewn masks or a school supply drive. Urgent donation needs with COVID needs at DuPage Pad. So you can kind of get an idea of some of those. And then there's also a court mandated section. So if you are someone or know someone who has to fulfill community service hours for court mandated opportunities, they would click here and then click on those opportunities in this section. I'm going to go back to the main website or my main presentation. I'm just going to share a few other things. This website has been in effect for over a decade. And I just showed you all of these. These are just screenshots that I've captured here. So I'm just going to kind of click through them. Because we've already shared all these with you and I've kind of walked you through a live demo. I always keep the PowerPoint slides just in case we have some sort of technical difficulties. You can see all the people that we connect. In December last year, we connected almost 2,000 volunteers through the portal, which is 2,000 volunteer connections in the portal, which is great. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We often share volunteer needs or donation needs for the nonprofit organizations, so you can see what those are. We also share from the other nonprofits their like programs and events. And then when you respond, we try to be responsive on social networks too. We produced a printed guide, and I'm happy to drop off a stack at the Carroll Stream Library if you want, Omar. But we have a printed volunteerism guide resource called the Giving Guide. So I'm happy to drop those off. from last year's guide. Some of the other things that Giving DuPage does is we actually have an Interfaith Service Council group that we started in 2019, where we try to meet quarterly to connect where faith groups and service can be beneficial. And we try to find that nexus on how faith groups can help us serve our communities better. We also offer we do a lot of nonprofit training. So we have an NIU Civic Leadership Academy. This number is outdated. We've had over 600 nonprofit professionals participate in classes since we started in 2015. We also have a big multi-charity fundraiser called Giving DuPage Days. We helped 80 charities raise over just shy of $230,000 in 2020, earlier this spring, which was great. These are, if you want us to help you get involved with Service Day events, we can certainly do that. We will be posting different things. So for example, Make a Difference Day is coming up. We'll promote some volunteer needs around Make a Difference Day. And then same thing with MLK's Day of Service in January. This is our contact information. Omar, I don't know if you have any questions, but happy to answer them right now. But if you want to reach out to us, you can reach us at givingdupage@dupageco.org. That's our phone number. I highly encourage you to email. We are working remotely a lot, so it's hard to stay up on the phone messages, but emails come through all the time. So that's all I got.
All right, well, yes, thank you. This has been very informative. At the library, we get a number of individuals calling, asking for how to volunteer in the community and the area, whether for their own reasons or also for court-appointed volunteerism. We occasionally get questions about that as well. So it's great to see that all of that is available on the Giving DuPage website. And as Shefali said, I mean, volunteerism is certainly up. It's certainly a need. There's still certainly a need for it in the community for people looking for volunteers, whether at the local homeless shelter or food pantries. Certainly we have a connection with People's Resource Center. I've certainly heard about all their volunteerism opportunities. I would encourage anyone in this video to see what's out there and see about giving back to the community. So I have no questions at this time, but thank you again so much, Shefali, for coming out today and presenting to us on Giving DuPage and all the wonderful opportunities that are out there to be able to give back to the community.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.